Good morning and welcome to the graduation ceremony of the Wharton Executive MBA class of 2025. Across the Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Global Cohorts, we came from different corners of the world, each bringing our own story and each driven by a shared desire to grow, to lead, and to leave things behind better than we found them. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Over the past 2 years, we've sharpened that weapon, and not through just lectures and cases, but through late-night debates, cross-continental teamwork, and a relentless commitment to pushing ourselves and each other further. This moment belongs not only to us, but to those who made it possible. Our families and friends, the tireless Wharton administration, and the brilliant faculty who challenged our assumptions and expanded our vision. And now, it is my great honor to welcome our administration, our faculty, and my fellow graduates of the Wharton Executive MBA class of 2025.
You may be seated. I wouldn't have thought this would be the hardest part of the program. Okay, good morning, graduates. It is wonderful to be here to celebrate the WEMBA class of 2025. Woo! As we come together to celebrate your individual and collective successes, we also recognize this is a pivotal moment in your educational and professional journeys. But before we do any of that, let's not overlook the fact that many of you are sitting here today in large part because of the unwavering support of a multitude of people, many of whom join us today to celebrate you. So without further ado, let me welcome our guests. Welcome to the parents, partners, families, friends, and loved ones who have traveled to Philadelphia to share in the joy of this important achievement. Go ahead and give them applause. Welcome also to the many dedicated Wharton faculty who are behind me and the staff who are all around this building who have been here today in support of these tremendous students. And lastly, a huge welcome to each and every one of you, the Wharton Executive MBA class of 2025. Commencement is a time to reflect on what you've accomplished during your time at Wharton and to look ahead to all you are poised to achieve. At some schools, the beginning of one's academic journey marks a time for the dean to say, look to your left and look to your right. In 2 years, one of you will not be here. Well, that's not how we roll at Wharton. Once you are a part of the Wharton community, we expect you to succeed. And wow, have you ever, in large part because of your hard work and significant sacrifice. Knowing your ambitious natures, you may be tempted to hit fast forward on this moment in an effort to reach the next challenge and the inevitable string of accomplishments that await you. But I encourage you to settle in this moment for just a little while longer and let everything it signifies sink in. As beautiful as all of this may be, my role today is not to try to convince you that the road ahead of you is an easy one. In fact, the road you just traversed was no piece of cake. As a result, you no doubt understand all too well that you are graduating into a world marked by profound challenges and unprecedented uncertainty. And sidebar, if you had unprecedented uncertainty on your graduation speech bingo card, feel free to go ahead and collect that one off now. But in all seriousness, I know that instability can be incredibly unsettling for all of us. And I can't perfectly predict what will happen in the financial and job markets over the months and years to come. No one can. But what I can predict is that whatever challenge awaits you, you are infinitely more prepared for what lies ahead than you probably know. So how do I know that, you ask? Well, let's start by stating the obvious. You have just attained the most robust, most relevant, and most rigorous business education available anywhere in the world. You have mastered how to think analytically, how to apply data-informed insights to problems, and how to thoughtfully consider the perspectives of classmates, professors, friends, and foils into your thinking to produce a holistic view of complex issues. And you did all of this while navigating an onslaught of global instability and a climate of heightened divisiveness. Yes, you have definitely learned a great many things to serve you well during times of uncertainty. But I'd like to focus on two critical skills you've also developed that should form the foundation necessary for you to navigate ambiguity with confidence. First, you learned how to recognize. You've just spent 2 years consuming and synthesizing a dizzying amount of knowledge, and your ability to sort through and make sense of massive amounts of data is guaranteed to take you far. But we also know that there's a downside to cognitive overload and constant connectivity. There's a concept from the field of psychology that is highly relevant to the moment we find ourselves in today. It's called learned helplessness. And it was an idea discovered right here at the University of Pennsylvania by Dr. Martin Seligman, who now leads Penn's Positive Psychology Center. Learned helplessness occurs when an individual continuously faces a negative, uncontrollable situation and stops trying to change their circumstances, even when they have the ability to do so. Sound familiar? If not, think of the friend or family member who tried to get fit by starting a new exercise routine, then convinced themselves that nothing works for me when they didn't start to see immediate results. The mindset tells us that nothing within our power can change our bad circumstances, so why even bother? In a world with grand challenges and seemingly insurmountable problems, it's easy to succumb to helplessness, learned or otherwise. But not for all of you, because that is not the Wharton way. Ask yourselves, what has ensured that generations of Wharton alumni become successful leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs? It's not that they simply reacted to their circumstances or let others steer their course. Rather, it's because they chose to recognize their own possibilities in a sea of perplexity. You also have a choice to take agency over your attitude and actions. As you will undoubtedly face new and surprising hurdles in life, I implore you to not allow yourself to become paralyzed by the chaos happening around you. Instead, lean on your experience in recognizing the potential that others so often overlook. This doesn't mean only taking big bets or swinging for the fences, but it does mean continually challenge yourself to find opportunity in this ocean of noise and consistently, methodically, and intentionally draw your strength as you drive forward. Equally important to knowing how to recognize, Wharton graduates learn how to reflect. Reflection is a powerful leadership skill, which is why it's startling to learn. It's also one of the most underutilized. As someone who has studied how organizations and leaders respond to crises, I can attest that you would be ill-prepared for future challenges if you do not first learn the lessons that each experience is offering you. This means constantly analyzing successes and failures, both yours and others, in order to ask difficult questions and embrace sometimes even more difficult answers. Wharton students are no strangers to soliciting and giving feedback. Remember, it's a gift. You are well practiced in this process that, when done right, enables clarity and growth for all involved. As you strike out on this next journey and even juncture where you're considering taking on a new opportunity, I encourage you to go beyond just passively listening to feedback. Dig deeper and find a way to really digest it, and then be open to putting those learnings into practice. I promise you, it will enable you to see the bigger picture, making you a more well-rounded teammate and a more impactful leader. Taken together, the skills of recognizing and reflecting have contributed something else to your repertoire. They have helped to make you resilient. Over the course of my career, I've spent a lot of time speaking with leaders about how they navigated volatile environments. And one thing I found is that the most successful leaders share a common trait. They are resilient in the face of adversity. They don't hunker down and wait for the challenging period to pass so they can get back to normal. They actively mobilized their networks, their knowledge, and their resources to make strategic, positive adjustments amid their crucible moment. Resilience requires adaptability, and in that regard, the class of 2025 is more than prepared. Over the last 2 years, you've spent time shifting between quant-heavy and values-based subjects. You've juggled roles in team-based exercises and real-world situations, and you've balanced courseload with a multitude of responsibilities at work and at home. This mental agility represents an invaluable mark of a truly resilient leader, and it can no doubt be found in each and every one of you. The world you're stepping into is hungry for leaders who recognize not just problems, but possibilities, who can build models and build trust, who can take decisive action but also pause to reflect, who are willing to navigate every twist and turn with eyes wide open and a forward-thinking mindset. You are those leaders. And as you leave Wharton, I encourage you to look for opportunity where others see obstacles. I challenge you to seek out new perspectives and continuously expand your capacity to learn. And I implore you to never lose sight of your ability to forge ahead even when the chips are down. So on behalf of the entire Wharton School, congratulations to the class of 2025. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce your graduation day speaker, David Faigenbaum. David is an associate professor of medicine and founding director of the Center for Cytokine Storm Treatment Laboratory at Penn. He is also the co-founder and president of Every Cure, an organization that strives to unlock the full potential of every FDA-approved drug and ensure that patients don't suffer while potential treatments hide in plain sight. For those of you who aren't familiar with David's story, he is the epitome of ingenuity and resilience. And he battled idiopathic multicentric Castleman's disease. He discovered a repurposed treatment that is saving his life and the lives of countless others. Through his groundbreaking research, David has identified and advanced 14 repurposed treatments for diseases that weren't originally intended to treat. A leading voice for precision medicine and rare disease, David has published more than 100 scientific papers in leading journals and has been profiled by prominent media outlets. His transformative vision, innovative work, and extraordinary contributions to the medical and scientific communities have been widely recognized. Among his numerous honors, David was named the 2023 Philadelphia Citizen of the Year, and he was recently named to Time magazine's list of the 100 most influential people in health. He shares his story in the national best-selling memoir, Chasing My Cure. And on a personal note, I will share with you that I had the opportunity to meet David 3 years ago at a Penn event in Florida, and I heard him speak, and I said, at that moment, I want him to be a Wharton commencement speaker. It has taken 3 years because he's a little busy, but I am thrilled that you have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Faigenbaum. Please join me in welcoming your speaker, Dr. David Faigenbaum.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction, Dean James. It's such an honor to be with all of you today. 10 years ago, I sat in the very seats that you're sitting in, graduating with my MBA from Wharton. Though mine didn't have an E in front of it, so it wasn't extra hard like all of yours was. You balanced classes on top of full-time work, family, and life. Congratulations on this incredible accomplishment. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the parents, partners, and family members who made this day possible. Would you please join me in a round of applause for those loved ones who are here? Today, I want to share a few lessons that I learned from my time at Wharton in the last 10 years that I hope you can take with you as you go on to the next chapter in your lives. Lesson 1, just because someone tells you that you're out of options doesn't mean that you actually are. During medical school, I became critically ill with a rare disease called Castleman disease, and my doctors even told me, David, we've tried everything. There's nothing more we can do. But I was so sick, I didn't really know what they meant until my family started saying their final goodbyes to me and a priest read me my last rites. That moment became the beginning of what I call my overtime. The bonus time I didn't think that I would have, where I tried to make the most of every single second. At the time I was 25 years old, I was a healthy third-year medical student who had decided to dedicate my life to becoming a doctor after I lost my mom to cancer. But all of a sudden, I was now dying of a disease I'd never even heard of called Castleman disease, where your immune system attacks and shuts down your vital organs for an unknown cause. There were no treatments and no cures. In a last-ditch effort to save me, my doctors gave me a combination of 7 chemotherapies that weren't made for my disease. Somehow they worked, I survived, and I returned to medical school here at Penn. But then I relapsed, again and again. 5 times in 3 years, I nearly died from my disease. From these experiences, I learned that you need at least 3 things to endure life's greatest challenges. The first is that you have to have a vision for what you're fighting for. For me, it was a dream of a life with my then girlfriend, Caitlin, and of curing diseases in memory of my mom. Second, you need an amazing team by your side supporting you along the way. My family never left my side. And third, you need to take things one step at a time, or in my case, one breath at a time. So that brings me to my second lesson. Solutions are often hiding in plain sight. During my 3rd relapse, I promised my family that I would dedicate the rest of my life, however long that might be, to trying to find a treatment for my disease. And I remember telling one of my doctors about my plans to try to find a treatment for me, and he replied to me that I probably had about a 1 in a million chance to find a treatment. And after he said that, all I could think about is that great quote from Lloyd Christmas in Dumb and Dumber, "So you're saying there's a chance." But there was one pretty big problem. I didn't have $1 billion in 15 years to develop a brand new drug. But then I thought, if those 7 chemotherapies, which weren't made for my disease, had saved my life, maybe there was another drug made for another disease that could also be repurposed to save me too. Now, this idea of repurposing isn't a new one. You may have heard that Viagra was repurposed from heart disease to its well-known use. But did you know it's also now utilized for a rare pediatric lung disease, saving the lives of thousands of children that would have died? And thalidomide, once known for causing horrible birth defects, is now utilized for leprosy and the cancer of multiple myeloma, again saving thousands of lives. So I started studying my own blood in the lab with this idea that maybe I could find a repurposed drug. I discovered that a communication line in my immune system was turned into overdrive, and I found that there was a decades-old transplant drug called sirolimus that I thought might be able to turn it off. It had never been used before for my disease, but I was truly out of options. So I began to test it on myself. Before starting sirolimus, I nearly died 5 times in 3 years, but now I've been in remission for over 11 years on this drug. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, if I want to be exact, it's been 136.38 months that I've been in remission. And I say 136.38 months because I know that I can't round up. I could relapse tomorrow and be back in the hospital. But I also refuse to round down because I'm so thankful for every single moment that I have here. During this remission, I married that girlfriend I told you about, Caitlin. We had 2 amazing kids. I wrote a book about my journey chasing my cure, which is now being turned into a film by a Penn grad, Wendy Feinerman. And I joined the faculty at Penn to repurpose drugs for other inflammatory diseases and cancers. Over these years, we've helped advance 14 repurposed drugs for multiple diseases, saving thousands of lives. And with every single patient we save, all I can think about is how many more life-saving drugs are sitting at our local pharmacies that could save and treat more patients today. So as you enter this next chapter in your lives, I hope you'll ask what solutions might be hiding in plain sight in your life or your industry. And I hope you'll have the courage to take the first step to uncover them. Lesson 3, find your Castleman disease. No, I'm not suggesting that you get a crazy, rare inflammatory disorder that could kill you. What I mean is find the challenge that you're willing to pour your life into and chase after it. Castleman disease nearly killed me, but it also gave me purpose. I needed to cure it, and the clock was ticking. I was in overtime. I co-founded the Castleman Disease Collaborative Network and quickly learned that the biggest barriers weren't medical problems. They were business problems, such as a lack of an overarching strategy, limited collaboration, and inefficient spending on research. That's why I came to Wharton, to save my life and to save others. But the skills I learned at Wharton were not enough on their own. I had to build an amazing team, and I had to work relentlessly. The one thing that we all have complete control over is how hard we work, and nothing feels better than a hard-earned win, especially during a difficult time. During difficult times, we're often told to look for silver linings, but my mom always taught me that we shouldn't just look for silver linings, we should look to create silver linings. What is the problem that you're obsessed with solving or that you're hoping someone will change? Chase after that. Lesson 4, turn your hope into action. My life completely changed when I began reflecting on what I was hoping for and then started taking concrete action that day to create a world closer to the world that I was hoping for. That mindset literally saved my life. But soon after curing my disease and repurposing the first few drugs for other diseases, I found myself hoping again. This time, not just for Castleman disease, but for everyone suffering from a disease that could be treated with an existing drug that's already available. 3 years ago, I co-founded EveryCure, a nonprofit organization that's using AI to unlock the hidden potential of every FDA-approved drug to treat every disease that it possibly can. Our AI platform scans across all 4,000 drugs and all 18,000 diseases to find the most high-impact matches. And then we test them in the lab and in clinical trials, and we work to get them to every patient we possibly can. Because no one should be told we've tried everything when a potential treatment is literally sitting at their local pharmacy. I'll never forget the first patient we treated with a top-scoring drug from our algorithm. His doctor had already put in an order to transfer him to hospice care before we recommended a treatment that has put him into remission now for over 2 years. This is an example of a novel, thank you. Now, this is an example of a novel treatment discovery, but sometimes we find matches where there's actually already good evidence to support them, but they're just not being used. Like leucovorin, a cheap vitamin derivative that can help to improve speech in kids with autism who have antibodies against the folate receptor. There have been 3 randomized controlled trials, and patients like Mason, who was nonverbal for 3 years and began to speak within 3 days of starting this treatment. His first word was more. Yeah, it's incredible, right? It's incredible. His first word that he ever said was more. And as the parent of 2 kids, this really just touched me because my kids are always asking me for more. And I think the parents here can appreciate that that's sort of our job as parents, is to give our kids more. And to imagine a life where a child like Mason wouldn't be able to ask for more, and as a parent not be able to give your kid more, or to be able to have your kid share feelings with you just hits me so hard. And to think that this cheap, simple medicine that can help children to speak isn't used because it doesn't work in our current system. It's not financially viable to advance this cheap old drug. This is why we started EveryCure, to find these solutions that are hiding in plain sight and make sure they can reach every patient they possibly can. So if you find yourself hoping that someone will fix a broken system, I hope you will go fix that system. Based on this MBA and who you guys are, you are in a position to transform industries. Lesson 5, it takes an army to solve big problems. During my MBA, 20 of my classmates spent over 3,000 combined hours volunteering, and over 200 classmates donated funds to our organization. We literally fought Castleman disease together with my Wharton MBA classmates. And many of them continue to support our mission to this day. So instead of calling my book Chasing My Cure, we should have called it Chasing Our Cures, because of everyone working together on this fight. We have built the most amazing team at EveryCure. And if you haven't decided what you're doing in your next chapter, we're always looking for really great people to join us. We actually have a head of finance role, a head of clinical development role, so please do reach out to me afterwards if you're not sure what you're going to do. Now, as you look to take on major challenges, remember that the people sitting around you and the Wharton Alumni Network will be the first ones to help you. So in closing, I hope you'll leave here today with more than just a diploma. I hope you'll be relentless in your pursuit of everything that you chase after, even if someone tells you there's nothing else we can do. That you'll keep your eyes open for the solutions that are hiding in plain sight, that you'll turn your hope into action. And most importantly, I hope you'll lean on the people around you, your classmates, your loved ones, and your teams, because solving big problems takes an army. You've already accomplished something extraordinary by earning this degree while balancing so much else. But this is just the beginning for you. So find your Castleman disease, chase your cure, and go build the future that you're hoping for. Thank you so much for this incredible honor, and congratulations, Wharton MBA, class of 2025.
So was I right in saying he would be a phenomenal speaker? Thank you, David. I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, your classmate and class of 2025 graduate, Kate Modic. Kate is an associate director at Peter Barry Consultancy, an Australian firm specializing in leadership development and talent assessment for Fortune 500 companies and government agencies. She leads the firm's international partnerships and operations across the Americas and Europe, with a focus on making hiring and leadership practices more effective and equitable. With a passion for leadership grounded in industrial organizational psychology, Kate also serves as the leadership and career lead for the San Francisco Student Leadership Committee. She holds a BSBA in International Business from American University in Washington, D.C., and has lived and worked across 4 continents, including Spain, Brazil, Timor-Leste, and Australia. Today, she calls Hollister, California home, where she lives with her family on a working cattle ranch. She's also the first student speaker we've ever had whose resume includes the title of Cowgirl. Please join me in welcoming Kate Modic.
Wow, there's a lot of love in this room. I wasn't expecting that. Good morning, WEMBA 49, or should I say, graduating class of 2025. And good morning to all of you, the most important people in our lives who've traveled all this way to be here with us to celebrate this huge moment for us. As Dean Jane mentioned, I study leaders for a living, and I've been waiting 2 very long years to tell you all about this incredible group of leaders sitting in front of me now. And since half of my class came in as either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or some combination of the 3, and all of us are leaving as Wharton graduates, you know I've got to give you the data. So in the illustrious words of Kent Smetters, enough chit-chat, let's get to the math. We are the 49th class of Wharton's Executive MBA program, made up of 278 professionals from over 41 countries. We are the first year to include 3 cohorts from San Francisco, Philadelphia, and global. And although we all came to Wharton with a shared passion for business, our professions are very unique. We have doctors and diplomats, founders and finance bros, pilots and product managers, and all branches of the military. In fact, we are so unique that we have 3 guys named Brian who are all in the Navy. When I was first admitted to Wharton, I could not believe that these accomplished professionals would be my new classmates. So I went on Instagram to stalk them a little bit and find out about what their lives were really like. And so I would be able to tell the three Brians apart. Among the profiles that stood out to me were a cardiologist who created educational content about health equity in her spare time, a classmate in a tuxedo who had recently attended the White House press correspondents' dinner, and even an Olympian. For contrast, the last thing that I had posted was something that seemed funny at the time, a garbage truck, spray painted with the words, "Living the dream." It may not have been the best first impression, but it did foreshadow the WEMBA experience. Over 2 years, our estimated course load is roughly 2,400 hours, the exact same amount as the full-time MBA program. Balancing schoolwork with a demanding full-time job often did make me feel like that garbage truck. Living the dream, yes, but also working early in the morning until late at night, feeling like a bit of a mess, but always showing up and getting the job done. So since then, each of us has learned that life does not stop for Wharton, nor does Wharton stop for life. This started as early as orientation, where 7 of our classmates were noticeably more sleep deprived than the rest of us. Each one was adjusting to life with a new baby, including one whose daughter had been born only 2 days prior. The experienced parents were there to offer advice and reassurance. Even though it may feel impossible, you will find a way. They may have been a little too reassuring because 2 years later, the number of babies born during this program is close to 50. That's true. Yeah. But that support from our classmates is something that we have all come to rely on. And even for a school renowned for its quantitative rigor, it's something that data really doesn't capture. But we saw it every time we came together. We saw it in the Wharton pub, when classmates who'd been up since 4 a.m. stayed until last call, deep in conversation. We saw it when someone pitched an idea that they weren't sure would work, and they were met with advice, encouragement, and found business partners and even investors. And we felt it, especially when we danced together at events like Diwali and Lunar New Year. For me, it was when I brought my very supportive mom to class events and my friends didn't just say hi, they sat down with her because they wanted to get to know her. So when I think about what makes me really proud to be a part of this class, it's not what we have accomplished, it's how we've supported and believed in each other. And although there have been a lot of happy moments along the way, we have been there for each other during the tough ones too. There have been many that deserve our thoughts, but I'd like to take a moment now to honor the beautiful soul of Catherine Parton. Catherine won't be walking across the stage with us today, but she will always be a part of our community. And as I look out over the community in front of me now, I'm reminded that none of us are on this journey alone. To our wonderful faculty, thank you for your respect, your patience, and for equipping us not only to make better decisions, but to lead better lives. To the staff, administrators, and especially the class coordinators, thank you for feeding us, getting us in the right room, in the right city, and for answering millions of our emails. And most importantly, thank you to the parents, spouses, kids, and friends who supported us to commit to this experience and accepted getting less of us in the meantime. WEMBA 49, can we say thank you? And so, friends and family, after this final weekend, you truly get us back, hopefully better than when we started. And for my classmates, you'll go home from this last Wharton event, no longer a student, but a graduate. But as Dean James told us, there's no doubt that as the challenge of Wharton ends, new ones are beginning. And as David just told us, we are really going to need each other's support along the way. I know I will. So I'll leave you with one final data point. Across the United States, there are over 9 million people graduating as part of a class of 2025 this year. But there will only ever be one class of WEMBA 49, and it has been such an honor to be part of it. Keep living the dream.
Thank you, Kate, for those lovely words about your Wharton classmates and experience. Good morning. I'm Diane Sharp. I'm director of the Wharton MBA program for executives, and it is my honor to spend this special day with you and to bestow the student awards. The MBA program for executives has a long-standing tradition of recognizing the importance of our community by honoring 3 students in each graduating class who have distinguished themselves through their contributions outside the classroom. These students are who their classmates recognize for the impact they had on the community through their qualities of leadership and engagement. They created opportunities to build camaraderie and celebrate, to learn from each other and hear from other business leaders, and to make the most out of the wonderful and challenging 2-year journey that is WEMBA. We honor 9 students today, but the list of students receiving nominations was long, and no doubt each person in class 49 uniquely impacted the community. First, we confer the Benjamin Franklin Award. This award is bestowed on the student in each cohort who exhibited the strong work ethic, demonstrated a practical application of ideas, fostered teamwork, and was quick to lend a helping hand and to give back to their classmates. If you would, please stand when I call your name and stay standing while I share the reasons your classmates chose you for this award. We'll start with the Philadelphia cohort. The recipient of the Benjamin Franklin Award is Daniel Shao. Daniel. Daniel Shao exemplifies the qualities of the Benjamin Franklin Award through his unwavering dedication, humility, and commitment to the success of his classmates. Daniel consistently went above and beyond, whether by answering questions, sharing key resources, coordinating with faculty, or proactively helping others navigate academic logistics. Though quiet and humble in demeanor, he played an essential and visible role in fostering a collaborative, supportive learning environment. His thoughtful leadership, strong work ethic, and selfless contributions inspired a culture of generosity, teamwork, and community. Congratulations. For the San Francisco cohort, the Benjamin Franklin Award winner is Paul Janda. And here's what his classmates had to say. Paul truly lives out the spirit of the Benjamin Franklin Award through his nonstop work ethic, practical mindset, and his genuine commitment to helping others. He's the kind of classmate who is always ready to lend a hand, whether it's walking someone through a tough concept, taking the lead on group work, or just being a steady, encouraging presence. Paul puts his all into everything he does, and he does not do it for credit, but because he wants everyone around him to succeed. He brings ideas to life, lifts up his peers, and shows what it means to lead by example. Congratulations, Paul. Yes, and the first ever recipient of the Benjamin Franklin Award for the Global Cohort is Chris Ajamian. From the very beginning, Chris has been a cornerstone of the first Wharton Global Cohort, known for his kind, collaborative spirit and his generous support to those around him. Whether offering words of encouragement and consistently checking in with his classmates or leading interesting initiatives, Chris puts others first. His pursuit of excellence is evident in everything he does. As a leader, Chris took the initiative to bridge connections among the students in the global program and help organize efforts that enrich the experience for the entire class. His genuine care for his classmates and tireless contributions have left a lasting impact, making him truly deserving of this award. Congratulations, Chris. Next, we award the Dean Patrick Harker Leadership Award. Dean Harker left Wharton in 2007 to become the president of the University of Delaware, but left a lasting legacy. He provided the impetus for the establishment of Wharton's San Francisco campus to extend the school's global reach to new audiences and industries. This significant challenge required innovative thinking, perseverance, and leadership. The Dean Patrick Harker Leadership Award is presented to the students who best exemplify this spirit. And if you would, please stand when I call your name while I share what your classmates have said. For Philadelphia, the Dean Patrick Harker Leadership Award goes to Christopher Stolte. Chris Stolte exemplifies entrepreneurial leadership through his ability to turn ideas into action. After taking an entrepreneurship class at Wharton, Chris took the initiative to launch a startup, showing boldness, vision, and a willingness to lead from the front. He brings a calm, thoughtful presence to everything he does, combining innovative thinking with steady execution. Chris elevated the WEMBA experience for his classmates, truly embodying the qualities of leadership this award celebrates. Congratulations. San Francisco Cohort's Dean Patrick Harker Leadership Award goes to Alex Garnaputi. Alex has been a standout leader and a constant source of support and positive energy for our class. He's the kind of person who sees what needs to get done and jumps right in, motivating others to join him. Alex leads with heart, integrity, and a drive to make things better for everyone. He's a connector who lifts others up and makes sure every voice is heard. His dedication, thoughtfulness, and willingness to go the extra mile have made a lasting difference to his classmates. Congratulations, Alex. And our first Dean Patrick Harker Leadership Award from the Global Cohort goes to Maregesh Desai. Marian exemplifies the spirit of the Patrick Harker Leadership Award through his inspiring, forward-thinking perspective and unwavering commitment to his peers. He leads with purpose, always bringing people together to collaborate, share ideas, and push boundaries. As the driving force behind the Wharton Global EMBA Leadership Series, Marian created a powerful platform that connects classmates with influential leaders across industries, demonstrating his vision, initiative, and ability to make things happen. He is innovative, steady, and welcoming, making him a standout leader and truly deserving of this award. Congratulations, Marian. And the last award is the Dean Spirit Award, which honors the student who has been a catalyst in bringing students together and contributed most to the Wharton experience by generating enthusiasm among the class members to make the 2 years a remarkable experience. And again, I'll ask you to stand as I call your name and share your classmates' thoughts. In Philadelphia, the Dean Spirit Award goes to Josh Isaacs. Josh has been a consistent, positive driving force for our cohort, tirelessly creating a vibrant and connected community throughout our Wharton journey. As the leader of the social committee, Josh planned and hosted nearly every social event, kept us informed through regular communications, and consistently found ways to bring classmates together. His enthusiasm, reliability, and boundless energy helped shape the spirit of our class and made these 2 years more memorable and fun for everyone. Quite simply, the Wharton experience wouldn't have been the same without him. Congratulations, Josh. All right, and in San Francisco, the Dean Spirit Award goes to Kate Modic. Kate has been the heart of our cohort, constantly bringing people together and making sure no one was left out. From organizing countless events, big and small, to planning unforgettable moments like our graduation gala, Kate's energy, thoughtfulness, and genuine care for her classmates shaped the social fabric of our Wharton experience. She's been the unofficial glue of our group, always encouraging and always leading with warmth. Her dedication to building community, uplifting others, and making these 2 years truly special makes her the perfect recipient for this award. Congratulations, Kate. And our first Dean Spirit Award winner for the Global Cohort is Jolene Robinson. Jolene has been a driving force behind the connections among our Wharton Global community. Always positive, inclusive, and full of enthusiasm, she brought people together and made sure everyone felt part of something special. As a key member of the first Global Student Leadership Committee, she went above and beyond, meeting with classmates, collecting feedback, and creating a comprehensive report to help future cohorts. Whether organizing events or just brightening someone's day, Jolene made our Wharton experience more memorable, meaningful, and fun. She truly embodies the Dean Spirit Award. Congratulations, Jolene. And congratulations to all of the Student Award winners. If we want to give everyone a round of applause. Thank you. Now I'm pleased to introduce the Deputy Vice Dean of the MBA program for executives, Professor Richard Waterman, who will announce the teaching excellence and the student academic honors. Richard.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to everyone. So I have the privilege of introducing some extraordinary people, both faculty and students. So I'm going to start by acknowledging the faculty on the stage here, and if they could briefly stand as I say their name, who are recipients of the Excellence in Teaching Award. So, Professor Nazli Bhatia. Professor Peggy Bishop-Lane. Professor Brian Boucher. Professor Peter Fader. Professor Lucy Hale. Professor Barbara Kahn. Professor Phil Nichols. Professor Dave Reefstein. Professor Michael Roberts. Professor Kent Smetters. And last, maybe least, Professor Richard Waterman. Okay, so that takes care of the faculty. Now on to the students. And again, if you could stand as I say your name and soak up the recognition. So first of all, we're going to talk about students who have got honors. Honors are the top 20% of the class, both across all of the cohorts. So, Eric Anurud. Anuj Arora. Ramesh Balasubramanian. Justin Ballant. Martin Bittner. TJ Brunette. Yulia Casey. Edmund Chan. Andrew Davis. Salah Galamudi. Garrett Gosi. Vinod Gupta. Saptasi Haldar. Mitch Heaton. Hongtai Huang. Sarab Jalori. Fani Jamalakada. Paul Janda. Derek Johansson. Hamza Malik. Lakshman Mantha. Prageeth Mapalagama Kumaragedon. Ellen Eng. Andrea Oliver. Kayla Oliver. Vasu Palanisamy. Jean Palovi. Pushpak Sarang. Daniel Shao. Sona Sundaramurthy. Leyland Taylor. Kathy Tran. Matt Van Buskirk. Monish Wadawala. Zifu Wang. Patty Warren. Yang Yuan. And David Sheng. And now on to the Palmer Scholar. So Palmer Scholar are for those graduating in the top 5% of the class, 1 in 20. All right, just in case you didn't get that one. Okay, Christopher Ajemian. Marcel Amorosmati. Hasanka Atanapola. Gregory Billington. Jaskamal Chavla. Mandy Chen. Evan Farron. Molly Gosi. Jamil Janjoa. Kelly Kamiensky. Phil Lautman. Daniel Moskala. Josh Silverman. And Shweta Srinivasa Gopalan. So with that said, class of 2025, the time has come for you to be recognized as graduates from the oldest and best business school in the world. We will start roll call, and Philadelphia cohort, you're up.
Michael Anthony Hunt. Richard Abel. Venkat Adusumali. Sabrina Agarwal. Anuj Arora. Mark Adlin. Hasanka Atanapola. Romesh Bala. Justin Balint. Catherine Barnett. Martin Bittner. Alison Boxer. Olympia Brickis. Gabriel Brunn. Stephen Campbell.
Yaskamal Singh Chafla. Caroline Cheek. Bing Chan Chen. Mandy Chen. Michael Chen. Cecilia Cheng. Judith Chen. Chelsea Amigacher Cho. Aaron Choi. Jonathan Kohn. Catherine Cummings. Naga Dandu. Priyanka Das. Andrew Davis. Niraf Devnani. Nimit Dir. Premson Durai Rahesh. Obina Emiasoba. Evan Ferren. David Fassel. Raghav Garg. Rami Sami Gasal. Aswini Gogare Sood. Tommy Glenn. Leslie Marie Green. Nimisha Gupta. Michael Lundstedt Harrison. Austin Hay. Derek Brian Hernandez. Sarela Herrada. Ayana Dax Hill. Sarah Hopkins. Tyler Virginia Holden. Joshua Isaacs. Fanny Yamalamadaka. William Culler. Deborah Kim. Philip Loudman. Justin Matthew Lafner. Hao Liu. Andrew Macaluso. Oyasvi Mallevar. Nada Malik. Hamza Malik. Keith Gregory McSweeney. Timothy Mayer. Asma Mia. Michael Moroni. Zachary Banks Mass. Somia Muktenini. Noman Mawas. Ellen Eng. Tracy Wing. Scott Ogden. Andrea Oliva. Renata Oliveira. Kayla Oliver. Stephen Pan. Sunny Hemant Patel. Jesha Patel. Chris Petrakos. Ravin Peri. Michael Regner. Amanda Robbins. Emily Ford Ruston. JP Saldarriaga. Paul San Valentin. Esperanza Sánchez. Víctor Santos. Daniel Shao. Atharv Sharma. Smita Shukla. Joshua Silverman. Akshay Singh. Bibha Singh. Chris C.B. Stolte. Leland Taylor. Rosie Tachil. Elisa Torres. Stephen Valind. Matthew Bambuskirk. Rupali Varma. Monish Wadiwala. Sophia Wagner. Paddy Warren. Zoe Wen. Nathan Will. Monica Choi Williams. Angela C. Winfield. Erin Wright. Kevin Yan. Jay Yu. Xiang Yu. Yang Yuan. Chang Shen Chao. Julie Chao. Kai Chu. Tyson Chuang. And now here comes the San Francisco cohort.
Kate Modic. Kamal Devarakonda. Mish Gaston. Charles Abadir. Marcel Amaros Marti. Burak Arik. Opayemi Awayemi. Gregory Billington. Dustin Brown. Morgan Brown. TJ Brunette. Eric Kai. Yulia Casey. Abhijit Chikalingaya. Prakash Chokalingam. Harshal Deo. Ajit Dodani. Anas Farah. Daisy Caroline Francis. Shweta Garamala. Alexander Ganapudi. Gutej Gill. Daniel Glenn. Adwait Gore. Garrett Steele Goose. That's Molly Vinob Gupta. Mark Haddad. Saptasi Haldar. Brian Hopkins. Hong Tai Huang. Joy Huang. Xinyi Huang. Melissa Yuting Huang. Hope Jiying Huo. Prabhu Imbarajan. Venki Iyer. Saurabh Jalori. Paul Janda. Jamil Janjua. Yaswant Jaganathan. Pengjiang Jia. Derek Johansson. Kelly Kamiensky. Timothy Kim. Hennessy Knoop. Rahita Kotagiri. Abhijit Kumar. Henry Lau. Rachel Lee. Mark Lewis. Seiko Lewis. Amy Lee. Judy Lee. Jui Lim. Brendan Liu. Stephen Lord. Sriya Samira Maladi. Lakshmana Mantha. Prageeth Sandakalam Mapalagama. Krish Mert. Colby Reed Miller. Alexandria Moffat. Brian Nowak. Kent Ormseth. Vasu Palanisamy. Christina Pandal. Pavani Paraha. Nicholas Parks. Jock Patton. Maria Pavlovskaya. Jean Polovi. Daniel Prendeville. Ram Ramaswamy. Roland Reyes. Higginson Roberts. Priyanka Roti. Pushpak Rajan Sarang. Siddharth Savant. Marco Segura. Sini Shalendra. Afia Seema. Preet Kanwal Singh. Malcolm Smith. Aditi Sori. Clinton Jeffrey Stevens. Scott Su. Chun Chun Chelsea Tang. Max Taylor. Catherine Ann Tran. Ubeyi Ukpabor. Priyanka Vagadia. Jing Wang. Ryan Timothy White. Adam Wong. Leon Wu. Mooney Shu. Tom Zivdrins. Jinya Kurita. Morgan Brown. And with that, we are over to Global.
Now I'll announce the roll call for the Global Cohort. Christopher Peter Ajamian. Jolene Robinson. Yemi Ahumeni. Eric Honorud. Francis Apia. Gabriel Lee Bales. Sachin Bede. Andrzej Bieszczkirski. De Havilland Sherelle Black. Edmund Chan. Lo Chun Keat. Emmett Cosgrove. Lisa Dalek. Murugesh Desai. Salah Gamudi. Susan Golden Jacobson. Michael Arthur Golden. Mitchell Heaton. Jay Jokakar. Deeptanshu Kumar. Alfonso L. Corcuera Wenzel. Carlos Luarte. Crystal McKinney. Brian Murphy. Ankit Nagar. Gabrielle Raymond McGee. Marcus Ruzek. Yasuhito Shintani. Shweta Srinivasan Gopalan. Lucas Matus Strabel. Sona Sundamurti. Candace Tisdale. Amelia May Wolf. David Jung. Congratulations, graduates.
Quick message to the little ones out there. We are almost done. We're getting there. Thank you for hanging in there. In 1868, at the same time, I know that doesn't feel like we're starting. Promise it's quick. In 1868, at the same time that entrepreneur and industrialist Joseph Wharton was rebuilding the American Nickel Works in Camden, New Jersey, following a large fire, 13 young children, with whom each of you graduates has something in common, were being raised in all of the opportunities, chaos, and uncertainty of the post-Civil War United States. Just 13 years later, those young boys would become Wharton's first business students, and eventually, the first members of the world's most powerful global alumni network. Wharton Executive MBA Class of 2025, congratulations, and welcome to the alumni community. A network of more than 100,000 strong, stretching across industries, generations, and more than 150 countries. Today marks a historic moment, of course, not just for you, but for Wharton, being the first time that all 3 executive MBA cohorts are graduating together and the first ever graduating class of our global cohort. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yes. We want you to know that the Wharton alumni community will champion you. It will challenge you, and it will welcome you with open arms. It thrives specifically because graduates stay involved, come back, give back, and support one another. So as much as any graduation is partly about saying goodbye, I'm here to remind you today that, importantly, it is also about saying hello and welcome. As you find your place in the alumni community, Wharton will grow with you and because of you. This powerful network is not a closed loop, however. It is one that will lead to the development of new products, new wealth creation, new job creation, and answers to many of the most pressing questions facing us today. The world is counting on you, not just to drive innovation and to move markets, but also to look over the horizon, just as Joseph Wharton did, to identify solutions for problems that are just too daunting for others. But you don't have to do it alone. Come back to campus, give back when you can, find ways to stay involved, both formally and informally. We will be here waiting for you. Now, to officially signal that you've become a part of this powerful alumni community,
Please move your tassel, if it's not already there, from the right side to the left side of your cap. You now carry the responsibility of a Wharton graduate to lead with clarity, to think boldly, and to contribute in ways that matter. You have what it takes to rise to the challenge and drive meaningful change. And wherever your path takes you next, one last reminder that you won't walk it alone. Your Wharton family will be here, cheering you on, opening doors, and celebrating all of the ways that you are making your mark on the world. Congratulations again. We are proud of you and so excited to see what comes next. Now, many of you have already started strengthening your bond with Wharton by taking part in your class gift. We are very grateful to all of you. Thank you for playing a pivotal role in shaping the school's future. A huge thank you to this year's class gift co-chairs, who are all here with us today from 3 cohorts for the first time: Michael Hunt, Kamal Devarakanda, Michelle Gaston, Jolene Robinson, and Chris Ajanian. Thank you. We appreciate the tireless work you have done to make this year's class gift campaign a rousing success. It's now time to present each check. Let's start right here in Philadelphia. The WEMBA Philadelphia cohort raised an incredible $101,255 for Wharton. This is a powerful example of what's possible when you come together. At this time, Michael Hunt will present the check to Dean James. Thank you, Michael. Next, the WEMBA San Francisco cohort, which raised $64,942 for Wharton. Thank you so much. Kamal Devarakanda, Michelle Gaston will present the check to Dean James. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Kamal. Last but not least, and listen, I know you're a competitive bunch, the WEMBA Global Cohort raised $115,768 for the school. At this time, we welcome Jolene Robinson and Chris Ajamian to present their check to Dean James. Thank you both. Okay, one last order of business. Speaking of your connection to the alumni community, I am now delighted to share with you an important Wharton tradition. Each year, a leader within the Wharton alumni community serves as a marshal and passes the alumni flag to a member of the graduating class. We are thrilled to have with us today someone who is on my personal Mount Rushmore of Penn people, Dr. David Faigenbaum, who we've heard from earlier. As David passes the alumni flag to your classmate, Michael Hunt, please join me in thanking David and celebrating the connection now made between your class and the entirety of the Wharton alumni community.
Thank you, Bill, David, and Michael. And thank you to all of our 100,000 alumni around the globe who make Wharton's community the largest, most impactful, and most engaging alumni community network in the world. As we close out today's ceremony, it remains my hope that each and every one of you graduates understand how much this community is proud of and excited for you. So with that, for those of you in the audience who want to get your cameras ready, this is the final moment that we bid farewell and congratulations to the class of 2025.